What is going on, guys? Levi Adams with Team TC here, and there are 809 Pokemon in the Pokemon franchise. Every single one of them is someone's favorite, so I wanted to ask the question, how do they stack up in the Pokemon TCG? Today we'll be continuing our journey, taking a look at every single Pokemon and how they stack up in the Pokemon TCG standard and expanded metagames. Welcome back to Dex. Alright guys, today we are going to be taking our look at one of my favorite Pokemon of all time, that being the Buterfree line. Now, Buterfree is interesting in the Pokemon TCG, mainly because the Buterfree line usually has the same sort of gimmick, and that is quick evolution. Caterpie being the first bug-type Pokemon in the Pokedex, and having this gimmick of evolving very quickly, like a lot of starting bug-type Pokemon do, with things like Caterpie, Weedle, Wurmple, etc. So, when taking a look at Caterpie in the TCG, we're going to be using those kind of gimmicky strategies to our advantage. Now, luckily, recently, we just got a line of Caterpie, Buterfree, Metapod in the TCG that is actually very, very interesting. Can't really see it there in the picture, so let me explain it a little bit. Caterpie and Metapod essentially both have the same ability, just with different names. Caterpie having the ability Pupate, and Metapod having a Merge. Both of these abilities are flip a coin. If heads, search your deck for a Pokemon that evolves from this Pokemon and evolve it right away. You can do this on the first turn that this Pokemon comes into play. So, you search your deck, which is amazing, meaning that you take the Pokemon out of the deck, you don't need to have it in your hand, and you're also cheating evolution, which is awesome. Now, why would we want to do this? Because the Buterfree that we also received from Unbroken Bonds, the same set that the Caterpie and Metapod are from, has an attack called Triple Charge. Triple Charge, for 1 colorless energy, allows you to search your deck for 3 basic energy, and attach them to your Pokemon in any way that you like. Really, really cool, really, really fun way of energy acceleration. Buterfree usually does some form of energy acceleration in the TCG. Most of the time it's to itself, but the fact that this Buterfree accelerates to anywhere, I think makes it the strongest Buterfree that we've ever had. Though I haven't been playing since the beginning of the game, so I could be very wrong there. So let's go ahead and take a look at the strengths of this Pokemon. Being a self-searching, self-evolving, evolution cheating card is incredibly strong. Just due to the fact that you're thinning your deck, cheating evolution, potentially getting a Buterfree out turn 1 of the game, potentially accelerating 3 energy onto your board on turn 1 of the game is incredibly strong. Caterpie's easy to search because we have cards like Netball in the format, if you remember that from the Venusaur video, allowing us to search our basic grass Pokemon for free. There's no need for rare candy in this deck, so you're not wasting space on that. Instead, you're just playing your Metapod line, because Metapod, of course, has the ability to evolve directly into Buterfree using its ability. Absolutely amazing. But this being said, we got some weaknesses. Biggest one, obviously, is we're flipping coins. Now, there's a 25% chance to hit Buterfree on turn 1, and there's a 50% chance to hit Buterfree literally at all from Metapod. 50% chance to get into Metapod from Caterpie. You have to flip 2 heads to evolve all the way up from Caterpie into Metapod. Don't get me wrong, I've done it. I played about 10 games with the deck that we use this Caterpie and Metapod for. And sometimes you can do it, and sometimes it's great, sometimes it works out really, really well, but other times you don't, and that sucks. And you're actually going to see that in the game that we got, funny enough. But not only that, even if you get to it, the payoff isn't really that great due to the fact that your energy acceleration ends your turn. If it was an ability, that accelerated the energy onto the board, that'd be amazing. But it is an attack, and you're not only committing some of your limited energy to this Buterfree, but you are also ending your turn immediately afterwards. And for 3 energy is good, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of Pokemon in the game that have 3 energy attack costs, but it tends to not be worth the space that Buterfree has in your deck. But that's not going to stop me from trying to make it work. Now, moving on to the expanded format, we actually have a way to improve on this deck a little bit, and that is due to the fact that we have a different Metapod as well as Caterpie. Both of these cards have the Adaptive Evolution ability, and that is this Pokemon can evolve during your first turn or the turn you play it. So if you have the cards in your hand, you can evolve right away. If you have Caterpie on the field, Metapod in hand, and Buterfree in hand, you have Buterfree. So this is the non-flippy way of getting this Buterfree into play, and this is how we use it in the expanded format. Now, looking at the strengths of this, again, you're cheating evolution. No coin flips, just straight up, if you have the evolutions in your hand, then you have a Buterfree, which is amazing. With all the search options available to us in the expanded format as well, it just makes it very easy to get Buterfree out and get that turn 1 acceleration that you're looking for. However, weaknesses, your acceleration still ends your turn, and there are a lot of better options to be playing. Now, don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean I don't want to play Buterfree. It just means that if you want to play well and if you want to have a good deck, probably shouldn't be playing Buterfree, but we're looking for fun here, not so much good. For lack of a better term. And even though, so the evolution is super convenient. Last point I just wanted to touch on, it is slow, and speed is the name of the game in expanded especially, but in TCG in general. You want to be able to set up as quickly as possible, and this deck does not do that. I mean, it does do it relatively well, but it's not as quick as it could be. This being said, let's go ahead and get into the games or get into the deck lists, and I can show you exactly what I mean. So this is going to be our standard deck list. We're playing 1 copy of Darkrai Prism Star, as well as some Dark Tag Team GXs and a Mewtwo Tag Team GX. Mewtwo is in there because it's not fighting weak as well as hits Psychic Weakness. Just another Pokemon. It has an ability that allows it to copy the attacks of any EX or GX on your field or in your discard pile. Really, really strong. Playing a 3/3/3 line of Buterfree. This just allows for the most consistency without risking prizing, in my personal opinion. You can feel free to change this to 2/2/2 if you want, but at that point I feel like you risk prizing too much. 3/3/3 puts the odds best in your favor that you are at least going to have one of each member of the line in your deck. So that's good. Other than that, we're playing just some straight up consistency cards, Cherish Balls to search out our GXs, Pokemon Communications to evolve into Buterfree manually if we have to, put it back into the deck so that we can search it out with our coin flip ability, get Darkrai Prism Star into our hand, just get that energy onto the board. We're primarily trying to attack with Greninja Zoroark in this deck as soon as we accelerate, using Netball to search out our Caterpies, Order Pads to search out the items that we want, Pokegears to help us find our supporters a little bit better, and Dark City is our stadium of choice. I actually think this is the first deck that we're really playing a stadium in. I think we played stadiums in the Charizard decks actually, but first non-Charizard deck that we're playing stadiums in. Dark City gives your basic Dark Pokemon free retreat, meaning that as long as you're not leading Mewtwo, you have an easy way to get into your Buterfree that is non-committal and you don't lose energy to do it. 12 energy, and then our supporter count is 4 Cynthia, 3 Lily, 1 Erica's Hospitality. Just a little bit of draw supporter variation there. Erica's Hospitality, for those who don't know, if you have 4 cards or less in your hand, then you draw equal to the amount of Pokemon that your opponent has in play. Current standard format, everybody's filling up their bench, so Erica's is actually incredibly strong. getting into the expanded deck list, it is looking very, very similar, especially in terms of our Pokemon counts. We're playing 2 Darkrai Umbreon tag teams instead of a Darkrai Prism Star, though, just because we're not really keeping the energy in our hand to accelerate. You'll see 4 Battle Compressor, 4 Dark Patch. This is essentially a dark box list for expanded, except in place of using things like Darkrai GX, we're using Buterfree, because this is a Buterfree video. Using Buterfree to help accelerate energy is very, very nice. It can be super helpful. It kind of makes some cards null and void. Think things like your Max Elixirs, but so you could feel free to change out Max Elixirs for whatever you want. Maybe like a 2/2 Weavile line, but it's kind of up to you. Otherwise, I like the counts of everything else. You're hitting everything pretty consistently. I love Order Pad in a lot of decks. Flip a coin. If heads, search your deck for an item card, especially in Expanded with VS Seeker when you're trying to get things into the discard pile. You can just VS Seeker, and that essentially gives you your supporter for the turn, which is pretty awesome. So, getting into the reviews for these decks, I give the standard list a 2 out of 7. I would give it a 1 out of 7, but I have a soft spot for Buterfree, so we'll keep it just 1 above 7, or 1 above 1, that is. Flippy is fun, but it is not good. It's not reliable. Building a dark box deck in this standard format without Weavile just straight up is not good. Weavile GX allows you to move your energy around the board, meaning that no matter where you put your energy, it doesn't really matter because you can just move them to somewhere else. Using this Buterfree, not only ending your turn with your energy acceleration, makes whatever Pokemon you accelerate to a sitting duck. Now, there's not many options that your opponent has to bring a Pokemon off the bench in the standard format, but if they do get it, then you are screwed, and that is kind of a bummer. The fact that you don't do any damage with your attack is also a bummer. If you did even 10 damage or 15 damage, or not 15, you never hit intervals of 5, but it's just something to keep in mind. 2 out of 7 for the standard deck. For the expanded deck, I give it a 3 out of 7, and that's just because Dark Box is better in expanded without Weavile. Well, maybe not without Weavile, but it can do better without Weavile in expanded, if that makes sense. It would be way better if the deck just didn't have Buterfree, but again, this is a Buterfree video, so Buterfree is of course going to be in the deck. And you could use the room for much better cards and just build a faster, more capable deck. Butterfree is more convenient and expanded, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't have the same problems that it does in standard. You're just not flipping, which is, it's a very strong difference and a very notable difference, but it doesn't make the deck good, per se. But with all that said, let's go ahead and get into the games, and I can show you that even though these decks might not be that good, they can still take some wins. Hopping into our first game here, we're going to be using our standard Buterfree deck. We got a pretty decent opening hand with 2 Aggro Bikes, a Lily, and Darkrai Prism Star in hand. Hoping to use this Order Pad, get out a Caterpie, and hopefully evolve into Metapod. Unfortunately, we flipped tails on our first Pupate of the game. No matter though, we are going to be able to just kind of accelerate our energy onto the board and get rocking and rolling just the way that we want our Dark Box deck to do. We're going to go ahead and attach to Caterpie just so that we have that potential Buterfree set up so that we already have the energy attached. I'm definitely hoping that within these next couple of turns I'm able to hit Dark City so that I can retreat our Tableye GX into our Buterfree. We have the Caterpie in hand, or the Caterpie on board to try and flip into a Metapod, and we have Metapod in hand to try and flip into Butterfree, but unfortunately we end up failing. We're going to go ahead and attach for turn onto a Zoroark Greninja GX and use Cynthia. As we get a Lily in our hand, we get Metapod, and everything's looking relatively fine. We do get a Dark City, but it gets immediately bumped out of the way for a Viridian Force on my opponent's side of the field. Our opponent is going to be playing a Quagnag deck, Naganadel, and Quagsire, paired with Eevee Snorlax, which is a little problematic for our Buterfree, just because it would be just shy of getting knocked out with 130 HP from Dump Truck Press, but as it is an evolution, it does take the extra damage from it. We go for the Emerge and flip Tails again, just not flipping a single heads this game, which is a little bit unfortunate. We're going to use our attachment for the turn to attach to Darkrai and then retreat into our Buterfree after drawing a Dark City to accelerate some energy onto the board. We now have a very solid amount of energy on the board. I'm spreading my energy out just so that every single Pokemon is one energy attachment away from being able to attack for its maximum damage. Our Buterfree does get knocked out, but that's okay, it's just one prize. We are able to go into our Darkrai, and with the Dark City out on the board, we'll just be able to retreat into whatever we want to attack here. We do choose the Zoroark Greninja tag team, as we are able to take a knockout on Eevee and Snorlax. Our opponent is going to go ahead and use this turn to set up the Fighting type Quagsire from, I believe it's from Unbroken Bonds, to do a nice 240 damage, which is just 10 damage shy of a knockout on our Greninja Zoroark, which is very good for me. We're going to be able to retreat here into our Darkrai GX, our Darkrai tag team, attach energy, and not only knock out the active Quagsire, but also do some damage to the Eevee Snorlax tag team on the bench. Just kind of doing some deck thinning here, hoping that I can hit whatever I need to, should I need to, but it looks like we're in a winning position, and my opponent is going to realize this turn, as they do not get enough energy to even get another attack off, and they're going to end up scooping this game. Overall, this deck performed relatively well, even though we didn't flip heads, so that's pretty cool to see, honestly. Moving on into our next game in the expanded format, we're going to be using a very similar deck. Of course, you've seen the lists already. We do get a mulligan to start, and we end up starting with our Umbreon Darkrai tag team. Now, unfortunately, our hand isn't looking that great, but we do top deck a Sycamore, which allows us to just kind of hit whatever we need. It's at this point I realize we have all the tools we need except for switching cards, meaning if we don't start Caterpie, we're kind of SOL. At this point, I'm going to use Battle Compressor, just kind of get some cards out of the deck that I don't really want to draw into, as well as some extra supporters in the discard pile for our potential VS Seeker plays. We're going to use a Max Elixir. We have 2 energies on board right now after failing an order pad at the end, which is pretty nice. Our opponent was playing some sort of Firebox deck. I actually wasn't entirely sure what they were playing. This is the first game I ended up getting in the expanded format, actually. Our opponent Guzma's our Buterfree, thinking that Buterfree is going to be useless, but little do they know that Buterfree is the strongest card in this deck. We are able to just kind of set up a Metapod on the bench. I should have discarded it with this Ultra Ball, and I was definitely realizing that, so that I could use my Dark Patch properly, or use both my Dark Patches in this turn, rather. But we are just going to be able to set up, again, our Pokemon so that they're all just one energy attachment away from attacking. Our opponent does have an option here. If they do get an energy attachment for turn, they get Hot Burn GX our Butterfree, but they're going to do the smart thing and opt to not do that. We, of course, have a lone Professor Sycamore in our hand, allowing us for some nice setup for next turn. I'm thinking, should I use the VS Seeker or should I just waste it? If I use VS Seeker, I would have just drawn Sycamore or gotten Sycamore anyways, so it doesn't really matter. We're going to be able to retreat here into our Greninja Zoroark, do a nice 240 damage, and now I'm thinking we definitely have some energy in the prizes. Otherwise, I would have used that turn to accelerate some more energy. But again, energy in the prizes. I'm thinking here, there's no way he can knock us out, thinking that we're still in the standard format, but we of course are not. And he has a Volcanion that can boost his damage on the bench. He does 230 damage, just 20 shy of the knockout. Unfortunate for him, but fortunate for us. And we are just one energy attachment away from knocking out this Reshiram Charizard tag team. So we're just going to attach it onto one of our benched Umbreon Darkrai. Use a Dark Patch to get our second one, just 1 energy attachment away from using its GX attack for its additional effect. Just doing some deck thinning here. I've essentially got this game in the bag as we are able to Dark Pulse for 300 damage, and it's at this point that our opponent's just going to end up scooping it up. That's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let me know which Buterfree list you prefer, or if you have any of your own spicy Buterfree lists down in the comment section below. Next episode is going to be on the Beedrill line, so look forward to that. With that, my name is Levi Adams with Team TC, and I will catch you guys next time.
Hey everyone, this is Ash Ketchum. Thanks for watching Team TC. Make sure to subscribe and become part of the team, and join us on our journey to become Pokemon Masters. Ha!